and welcome to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. I'm Jemma Gofton with another edition of the programme that aims to make your next cruise or holiday as problem-free and relaxing as possible. So if you have a holiday, cruise or travel-related question, here's how to get in touch. So you can search for us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for the Holiday and Cruise channel. Or you can send your questions to our website, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. Or what about sending us a letter? The address is the Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool L22 5NG. Now, in today's programme, we're talking about cruise holidays with the emphasis very much on coastal voyaging and the local culture. If you've been cruising before, why not try an alternative type of cruise? One that's very port intensive, often visiting a handful of ports in just one day. And here to tell us more about coastal voyaging around Norway is Anthony Daniels from Hurtigruten. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem, thank you.
I know nothing about coastal voyaging, so this might be sort of an interview where we break it all down for everybody.
Sure.
So what is coastal voyaging?
Well, you could argue that all cruising is coastal voyaging, but where we go to that next level is, as you rightly said, sometimes we have more than one stop a day. Our history and our foundation from the company, we started 123 years ago, delivering the post and a lot of the kind of the goods up the Norwegian coast for the Norwegian government. But anybody that's done even part of the Norwegian coast will see how beautiful it is. And it's really evolved from what we started out to where we are now, that we have 11 ships going up and down the coast every day. The full round trip from Bergen up to Kirkenes on the Russian border is a full 12-night round trip, and that will take in about 34 ports of call. So
wow.
Completely different to what you'd usually expect on a normal cruise holiday.
So I'm guessing the feel is very different to ocean cruising as well, the feel on board. Yeah,
very much. We actually don't class ourselves as a cruise company. Where we are now, we're actually going to be a completely different company in 5 years' time, and we'll come on to that. But you know, we don't have the glitz and the glamour that you'd find on a normal cruise line, and actually we've always said our entertainment is off the ship. The ships are good, they're comfortable, they've got great food, great facilities, but we don't have the nightlives and the rock climbing walls and all this kind of adventure you'd find. It's off the ship is where you're actually going to be doing and seeing everything.
So what you're saying really is that you need to want to, it's port intensive, you need to want to see what's going on in that part of the world, really.
Yeah.
So would you say that your cruisers, or no, we wouldn't call them cruisers, passengers, let's call them passengers.
Well, and this will lead on to later, we call them expedition.
Oh, I like
part
this.
of the expedition team, shall we say. So
well, I like
they're
this.
explorers.
Oh, they're explorers, brilliant.
Yeah.
And are they very sort of outdoorsy, young, fit people? When you say expedition, that's what it says to me. Or have we got retired people who just leisurely taking it all in?
A bit of both. At the moment, you'd find the average age of our guests are that slightly higher explorers. So you can be as active or as inactive as you like, really. You know, you've got the ship that does the work up and down the coast, but then you can get off, you can do the excursions, you can do low-level walks, high-level hikes, you can do skiing trips, you can do a lot of different kind of aspects to the holiday. So actually it could appeal to everybody, but what we're actually saying is it appeals to people that don't specifically think that they want to cruise as well.
Well, that's interesting, because sometimes cruising does have a stigma attached to it because of people think, oh, only old people cruise, which is a myth nowadays, isn't it, that the age has come down.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that perhaps if you don't think you're ready for a cruise, maybe this is the one for you. What about the size of the ships then? I guess if you go into so many ports, and I know very little, remember this, that they're a bit smaller?
Yeah, they are. I mean, our smallest ship takes around 200 and our largest takes about 600. So everything in between that. So yeah, in the cruise world, we're at the very smaller end of the industry, shall we say.
And what about facilities? If you're going for a smaller ship, do we still have our home comforts and our?
Yeah, I mean the accommodation you'll find a very good level. You've got anything from an inside, a larger outside, and also suites. Then you've got restaurants, you've got a bar, you've got the normal things you find, but we don't have like big ballroom dancing, or we don't have kind of big kind of Broadway shows. So if you're going there for that type of aspect and you're looking for casinos, we're not the brand for you. We really are about having your home comforts, taking you to the destination, and then going out and enjoying the destination.
And I guess with so many destinations to enjoy, do people get off at every single port?
You can do. Some of the ports will only stop for 15 minutes, half an hour, because back from our heritage, where we started as a kind of the postal route, doing the postal service for the Norwegian government, we still offer that. So a lot of the locals do use our ships. So on some of the days, you'll pick up a group of school kids, you'll take them to ports for an hour, and they'll get off and go to their school for the day. But then the rest of the time, the majority of the clients will be doing the actual voyage, as it were, and looking at the actual destination.
So that's a taste of Norway, really, for me. If I'm meeting the locals as they hop on board, just going about their daily business.
Yeah.
Where in Norway will we visit?
Pretty much everywhere. So where you start, the south, the very south part in Bergen, and you go all the way up to the Russian border in Kirkenes, and you've got 34 ports of call all the way up. So you do call it the larger ports that the big ships will go to, but then we'll call it a lot of the local ones that we really are the only ones that can fit in there. And some of the highlights of that, you're going to go into Tromsø, you're going to go into Kirkenes, as I said at the top, but then you're also going to come back down via the Lofoten Islands, which are some of the most beautiful islands, where we do some stops and people can get off. And some of the excursions we do, you can actually get off at one port, do the excursion, then join the ship at another port a bit further down the coast, so it can be really quite flexible. And
if we're talking about Norway and we're stopping at these beautiful places, are there any specific things that we should be looking out for that are typical to Norway? Any, sort of the flora, the fauna, that type of thing? And will we know what to look for?
Again, it depends what time of year you go. There's some kind of very distinct seasons. So the winter season is very much about the Northern Lights. We have fantastic business from October through to around March time, where the Northern Lights are, very strong. We have a Northern Light promise. And if the Northern Lights don't appear in the full 12-night journey that we offer, we'll give you a free journey to go back again and try. And we have had to pay out on that. It's not one of those gimmicky things that people don't think, okay, that's just one of those throwaway things. It's down to the captain's discretion. But we're lucky to say that nearly every sailing that we've had, the Northern Lights have appeared. So that's the winter season. But if you really want to see the true beauty of Norway, you've really got to go kind of April through till September, when you've got the two shoulder seasons, when everything kind of starts to come to life, and then you've got the midnight sun season, which is the whole way through the summer. So the wildlife, the flora, the fauna, and everything really does start to come alive again. And
in your opinion, if we were only going once in a year, what would be your favourite season to go?
That's a tough one.
We're here to give tips. That's what we're here to do.
It's a tough one. if your tick box is the Northern Lights, then I would recommend probably December through till February. But if it's the summer and it's the wildlife, then you've really got to be looking at probably May, June time.
I was giggling as you were saying about the Northern Lights, because I've been twice and never seen them. So I would be the Northern Light repellent. So if I'm on the cruise, don't join in.
We'll let everyone know when you book.
You'll be paying for everybody to go on again. Let's talk about the type of accommodation, because it's a smaller vessel.
Yep.
Obviously, there's not this, as you've said, and great sort of ballrooms and climbing walls and whatever. So what about the accommodation? Have we still got our home comforts?
Yeah, completely. I mean, through the fleet, all of the ships have got exactly what you'd want. You've got your bedroom, you've got your bathroom, you've got good facilities, you've got everything you'd expect. And we are doing an upgrade service at the moment on a lot of the ships. So out of the ships, we've got 4 of them this year have gone into a dry dock to be more modernised, if you like. So some of the bars and the restaurant areas are going to become a lot more what you'd maybe expect on a cruise ship, but we don't want to kind of detract from what our heritage is. So, it's very much a Scandinavian feel on board the ship. 2 of the very older ships that were built back in the 50s and 60s are still part of our fleet and offer a very different type of experience, but still that very local cultural heritage type of brand that we really kind of hang our hat on.
Well, we talk about local heritage, let's talk about food. My second favourite subject, my first favourite is cocktails.
Okay.
Yeah, my second one is food. What about, so you're sort of saying to me, this is how I'm picturing it, I could be picturing it totally wrong, that we're getting involved, this is how life is. So will I get a taste of the local cuisine as well? Yeah,
probably more than just a taste. Because we're calling every single day, we'll pull up in one of the docks, and next to it the fishermen will come in and they'll literally walk straight to our ship with their catch of the day, and we'll take it off of them. That's the relationship we have. As a brand and as a company, we are Norwegian, we are part of the culture. to the point that on a Sunday morning, the locals will sometimes come down to the port and go on the ship for a coffee and a Danish and a pastry and whatever, and that's part of their tradition. So, you couldn't get any more local and heritage worth out of us than anybody else. I mean, it really is.
Would there be a dish that we needed to try that would give us a taster of it, or a beer maybe? I'm on my favourite subject now, alcohol.
Well, a bit of both, yeah, a bit of both. But again, it's the alcohol will be locally sourced, and it'll be obviously. But then we also have a lot of kind of recognised brands as well. But from the local delicacies, the one thing that we would say is it is the freshness of the fish. And I remember speaking to some of the chefs before, and they say, how do you make that special? And they're like, you deliver it fresh. You don't put anything on it. That's the quality of it. Because it's not often in restaurants in the UK or anywhere that you can go to and say, it's literally, we called it this morning, it's now on your plate. But the one thing we've got to kind of reiterate, it's not just about the fish, because a lot of people think, Norwegian's coastal route, it's fish. Of course, that's a very staple diet, but obviously we have a very wide-ranging calibre of food that we can offer any dietary requirements.
Brilliant, because that can put people off holidaying, can't it, if they gluten intolerant or whatever.
Sure.
We're going to have a quick break, don't go anywhere. Now, if you're new to cruising, then this is our first time guide to cruise holidays, and it's well worth asking for because it's absolutely free of charge. Just give us a call, 03330 032 216. Now, calls will be charged at standard national rates, and you can ask for a copy through our website, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. Whilst you're asking for this, we'll take a quick break. See you shortly. Welcome back to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. It is great to have you with us. Now, in today's programme, we're discussing coastal voyaging, and Anthony Daniels is still with me. Now, Anthony, tell me about Norwegian traditions on board, or maybe on your excursions, something that we need to be doing.
Well, need to be doing and feel obliged to do are probably two different answers, because part of the tradition of when the ships sail or voyage up the coast at the top part of Norway, as soon as we pass the Arctic Circle, what the crew like to do is a little tradition, and you don't have to do it, but you will get people, if it's the first time they've done it, we'll sit them down and pour ice down their back and kind of make a bit of a fun element of it, and then you get a certificate and all these different things. So, it's part of the fun, but it's part of the kind of the richness we like to offer. But also, we do have, from the heritage side, when we're in the ports, we will, and I kind of saying earlier that we don't have the nightlife and the entertainment that you're going to get on the big ships, but we will have on occasions local bands and local musicians that will come on the ships as well. So you do really get involved in kind of the locals, I suppose, is probably the easiest answer. They will come on, they love seeing the ships, it's part of their heritage, it's what they expect to see our ships sailing up and down the coast. They'll come out and welcome them, and it's second nature to them.
Now, how explorer can we actually get?
Well, this is what I was alluding to earlier. As a company where we built a tradition of the Norwegian coast, we're now moving fast as a company. We're never going to change from the ethos and the heritage, but we're now class ourselves more as an expedition company than just a coastal route. So we're opening up new destinations, and to try and entice people into that thought process, we've now instilled on board some of the ships up the Norwegian coast an expedition team. They've come from the teams that have sailed around the rest of the world, but what they now do is actually some of the short excursions, rather than just do kind of what you'd expect as a short excursion, they do a little bit more hands-on. So they do some rig boat rides, they do kayaking, you can do low or high level hiking, as I said earlier, and that's really just to show the kind of the quality of our expedition team. But then take on from that other areas that we visit now. We've got we'll have 2 ships in Antarctica. In the winter seasons, we're going to have one of the ships will also do Greenland, Iceland and Spitsbergen, and then for the future we've already launched some other product now that we're going to be doing the Amazon River, East Coast Canada, North Africa. So there's a lot of kind of growth and development in the expedition market, because we feel that we've got such a loyal following as a company, but we've got to now offer something different. And to be different, we, as a Norwegian heritage, we like to find things that other companies can't find easy.
Now, you've mentioned all those amazing places and what you're proposing to do in the future. And it strikes me, when we talk about cruising, do we think it's opening up the world for people? Because I wouldn't necessarily I wouldn't necessarily go to the Amazon, for example.
Sure.
I might feel a little bit nervous about it.
Yeah.
But is it with a cruise we perhaps feel a little bit more secure?
Well, the security is the fact that you've got the ship there always to come back to. So, you know, if you've got this inner explorer, but you think, oh, I don't really fancy sleeping in the jungle or sleeping on an ice cap, you know that the safety is you've got the ship there waiting for you to have your, as we said, the home comforts and a decent restaurant and a bar, which is obviously, I know, one of your tick boxes. So
it's like you know, knows me so well.
So you're right, and that's kind of the ethos of the company. You know, let's open up these parts of the world that really are very inaccessible. And if we can take people there because they love us as a brand and they trust us, then we can actually then open up these other areas. So the future is going to be really interesting and really exciting about the new destinations that will come online for us.
My experience of cruisers is that they're very organised. So how far in advance do you think people need to get organised and start planning and booking in your experience?
Well, as the head of sales, I always say book as early as you can, but you know, I suppose, again, looking at the different products, you've got two different answers, because the coastal route that we were talking about earlier, you know, you can book a week or 2 weeks in advance, but then obviously your choices are very limited. We do tend to find that the winter programs, so the Northern Lights and the charter programs that we offer, they will get booked up a lot earlier. But people can just fly to Norway and use the ships for a couple of days, then go off and get a row or train or a hotel. So it does depend on that. But with the expedition product, the real expedition product that we've kind of installed in now, our recommendation is book early, because and again, this isn't a sales pitch, it's more just as a, if you really want to do Antarctica or Greenland and you want to do it in 16 or 17, you've got to move fast, because there's only 1 or 2 ships that will do it with us, and it gets booked out very quickly.
Whilst we speak about Greenland, you touched on Greenland again there, never been, but I have been to Iceland. So let's tell people more about those places and actually the appeal of them, because the word, just the very word Iceland makes you think, perhaps I don't fancy it,
Sure.
But it is simply stunning.
It is, and I think sometimes, and before I joined the company, you kind of look at those as massive landmass, but not a lot on it. So you think, well, actually, it's going to be quite a boring trip. There's not a lot to see, but in some ways, it's probably the most beautiful parts of the world to go and really visit, because it is the locals just open the doors to people. I mean, certainly with us, because of the brand that we are. And if you go to like Spitsbergen, for instance, we own 2 hotels up there, and we've got a tour company. So we can offer a land-based expedition product that isn't actually with the ships as well, or you can tie the two together. So you go to somewhere like Spitsbergen, you've got the polar bears, and you can do, again, the types of excursions that we've already spoken about. But in the summer months, when we go to Iceland and we go to Greenland, again, it's the flora, it's the fauna, it's the ice, it's the photography of opportunities. It's so many kind of enriching programs that you can do up there that, you know, it isn't what you class your traditional cruiser. It isn't we're just going to go and have a quick look from life. It's people that want to get out with their cameras and their backpacks and have a real look at the local kind of countryside, if you like.
Now, this next question might highlight me as being a little bit fickle, but I'm going to ask it all the same because somebody might be thinking about it. When you're talking about getting your backpack on and getting involved, and maybe you're going on a snowmobile and all of these things,
yeah.
When I book, you know, maybe one of your coastal voyages or any other cruise, will I know what to bring? Because I would think, well, I need something for dinner, but then do I need walking boots?
Sure.
Do we find out?
Yeah,
will somebody tell us?
Yeah, and that's actually a great question. Because,
see, not fickle.
No, and it is, because, you know, you look at it and you think, am I going to have to go out to the local Explorer store and buy everything from there? But when you're going down to the real kind of the polar region, so for Antarctica, we actually give all of our clients the big jackets, and the boots are free to use to go onto the ice caps. And then we also detail in the brochure things that you need to take, things that we supply, and so as a team and as a company, all the information and knowledge is there, and we know that it's not just about booking the trip. It's like, well, hang on a minute, luggage allowance, I've got to take this. What if we can give as much as we can when you get to the ship, then it's kind of eases your pain, I suppose.
Because luggage allowance is a huge big thing, because obviously to come on board it doesn't matter if we bring the biggest case in the world, but actually we've got to fly there first, haven't we?
Completely.
So it does matter. You need to really take that into account. Okay, we were chatting ahead of the programme, and you were telling me you've been in the business for so many years and blah, 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 blah. So let's talk about most exotic destination that people really need to be visiting.
Well, where do I start? Well, you could say any one of our products, but I suppose from a personal side, for me, probably the two areas that I've got to be on my wish list is Antarctica, and then second to that is probably Greenland. Purely, two areas I've not visited yet, but two areas that I've seen the imagery, I've seen the videos, I've spoken to the experts, and it is just one of those experiences. We struggle as a company to kind of depict how beautiful it is in a brochure, because it's so much more than that. And yeah, for me, they're the areas that you've got to, if anything, you've got to do those.
And if we were just trying to persuade somebody who was a bit sort of, might go to Spain still on my, fly holiday to a hotel, if we were trying to persuade them that coastal voyaging or cruising in general was for them, how would we sort of persuade them? Just give them that little nudge. What's so great about it?
Well, the beach holidays, we all know they're great, they're relaxing, they're just switch off holidays. And I think if you're now, and we're finding that so many more people want that next level of enrichment. They can still have a week in the sun whenever they want, but actually, do you want to go and just experience a different culture and a different experience of the people that you're going to meet and mix with? And sometimes it's also about coming back and having that story. With us, you're coming back and you're telling a story, not saying, oh, how was 2 weeks in the sun? That was great. Whereas you come back, you're like, oh, we did this, we did that, we did this, we saw this, we experienced that. I mean, to come back and that then inspires other people to go, actually, we really need to be doing that.
We have run out of time, but very quickly, I just want to touch on solo travellers, because sometimes they are penalised.
Sure.
And families. All fine? All great?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I mean, we do where we can offer no single supplements on many of the products, and with the family market. So, for argument's sake, down in Antarctica, we also have a young explorers program, because we know that our brand has been very much about couples, but now we're opening that up to make sure that we can cater for a lot more people.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for popping in to chat to us. You must come back, because there's so much more to talk about, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Fabulous. Now, before we head off, just a quick reminder about this. It's our first time guide to cruise holidays. It's absolutely free of charge. So why not give us a call? 03330 032 216. Calls will be charged at standard national rates. And don't forget, you can also ask for a copy through our website, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, where you can get in touch with your questions for future programmes. That's all we've got time for on today's edition of the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. My huge thanks to Anthony Daniels, and thanks to you for watching. I'll see you next time.